Hey guys, hope you are all having a great day. Today we learned a ton about an unearthed scandal regarding Jerome Powell trading during the restricted blackout period and failing to disclose his trades. The conflicts of interests in this story we are about to get into today once again show the pure corruption that runs rampant at the Fed. We have quite a bit to unpack today, so let's skip formalities and get right to it. Before we start, let me quickly state that I am not a financial advisor, and that all content discussed in this channel is simply information gathered that I deem important for people to know, so that they can make informed decisions. All efforts are aimed to better understand the nature of the current market in anticipation of the greatest squeeze in financial history. Let's dive right in. I want to begin by crediting the Occupy the Fed movement, whose great research is unraveling the vast extent of criminal activity and nefarious lack of moral judgment that has saturated the Fed's chair from being able to operate with goodwill. I will link the Occupy the Fed movement website in a pinned comment below so that interested viewers can go check it out. Their article begins by drawing comparisons to the turbulent times we are living in and how they are not unlike those in the 1970s, where supply shortages, rampant inflation, domestic upheaval and foreign affairs marked and distinguished those years. Next week, the U.S. Senate wants to rush votes to confirm Jerome Powell to remain chair at the Fed. But reinstalling Powell after he was implicated in the biggest government official stock trading scandal in history would be quite a stain in American history and a national disgrace. For those that don't know, Jerome Powell traded millions in personal stocks and bonds while simultaneously obstructing required public disclosures about those trades for years. The information is damning and undeniable as it is, even showing Powell making trades during the restricted blackout periods for pivotal Federal Open Market Committee meetings. And to make matters worse than anything previously mentioned, Jerome the Joke Powell directed policy decisions that directly advantaged his personal bond holdings despite long-standing federal conflicts of interest law, telling brazen lies about it to the press by suggesting the Office of Government Ethics said his holdings posed no conflict. Powell's lack of ethical behavior should prevent him from ever holding any position in the government, but it appears the Senate has little to no care, as by all estimates, they want to quickly confirm him in the position again. Powell is required to publicly disclose the among ranges and specific dates of his trades, and he has failed to comply with the required disclosures. According to public documents, Powell recorded 57 separate transactions, but 34 of these entries obstructed required disclosures of fates. This means that Jerome Powell executed more than 90 separate trades in just 1 year. But this isn't even the worst part. A significant number of trades were executed during the restricted blackout period leading up to and through the final Federal Open Market Committee meetings. What's ironic here is that a Fed PR spokesperson actually made a public statement when the trading scandal broke out, saying Fed officials like Jerome Powell are subject to stricter restrictions like not being able to engage in trading during the Federal Open Market Committee meetings. Jerome Powell had at least 6 sale transactions during the meetings and at least 1 purchase transaction. Looking through all his trades, it appears Jerome Powell has been engaging in illicit trades ever since 2015 all the way through the present day. In 2019, Jerome Powell made 5 trades, on the final day of the Federal Open Market Committee meeting over which he presided as chair, but it gets even worse. The Fed has been making a lot of public statements in recent months and years, touting new trading rules that will be a lot more restrictive in order to preserve the Fed's public standing, but it was especially noted that it was during the onset of the pandemic when Jerome Powell, America's biggest disgrace, decided to not abide by the rules and engage in the worst trading habits to have probably ever been recorded in history. Powell's trades during the pandemic drew scrutiny, especially when Jerome sold $1 to $5 million in stocks in October 2020, just right before the significant market crash. The current presidential administration along with bought-out senators are trying to ignore this story, attempting to hide it and act as if it didn't matter and covering it up. But the problem is so big that this selling of $1 to $5 million of stocks before the crash is actually just the tip of the iceberg into what Jerome Powell has actually been doing since 2020. Federal conflicts of interest statute prohibit Jerome Powell from participating personally in any particular matter in which the employee knows they have financial interests directly and predictably affected by the matter. This statute applies to municipal bonds and all types of financial interests. In March of 2020, Jerome the Joke Powell decided to break the federal statute, making the unprecedented decision to intervene in municipal bond market and purchase municipal bonds and ETFs directly as a response to the onset of the pandemic. The Fed had never made such a move, even during the Great Depression, and this act alone rapidly propped up municipal borrowing to a 10-year high and drove riskier issuers into the market. There is sitting and undeniable evidence of Powell actively buying and selling both specific municipal bonds and actively managed muni funds. The corruption is so bad that the Fed itself was caught purchasing muni bonds held by Jerome's trust. When Jerome was asked about muni trading by some wannabe journalist on CNBC, Jerome Powell said, and I quote, "I personally owned municipal securities for many years, and in 2019, I froze them." Here is the thing. Evidence shows that Powell did not freeze his muni trading in 2019 at all, and definitely not before the Fed's decision. This man is not only the sum of all evil that a public official can be, but he brazenly lies in media interviews as if things couldn't be easily fact-checked. He sits in a position of power that he knows has no consequences for his actions. How the media isn't blowing this up as if it is the new Watergate scandal really adds that touch. Powell has neglected to mention that he has personally purchased shares in several actively managed municipal bond funds from Goldman Sachs. Powell, in yet another mess-up, publicly stated that he had checked with the Office of Government Ethics to make sure that he wasn't breaking any rules or engaging in acts that were in conflicts of interest. He then suggested the office did not find any conflict. It was just another little white lie for Jerome Powell, because thanks to the Freedom of Information Act, we have documentation that shows Jerome Powell signing a new ethics agreement that required him to dump all of his muni bond holdings, and in the same document, the Office of Government Ethics states they believe Powell's municipal holdings pose a potential conflict with federal regulation. I mean, how low can we really go? This man's track record should be enough to throw him in Guantanamo Bay and throw away the key, and next week he will be reinstated another term. He didn't own the fact he lied or that he committed crimes or that he did anything wrong. The number one trait associated with psychopaths is the inability to take accountability for their own actions, which leads to a general lack of remorse, and this dude meets at least 7 of the criteria to qualify for a diagnosis on antisocial personality disorder. The Bureau of Labor Statistics currently estimates consumer inflation to be at 7%, but it's more than double that number. I saw people this Christmas go without making payments on their cars and being late or mortgage payments because they could barely even afford food. There is no metric by which America is failing, no measure by which we can proudly and confidently say the economy will recover and it will benefit us. In fact, I would dare say when the pandemic started and people started getting their stimulus checks, which was literally only a little over $1,000, people were acting like they won the lottery. The economy will recover, and you can 100% expect things to get worse for middle and low income people, which is a fancier way to saying the great vast majority. Inflation will go down, but companies have seen people willing to spend, so prices are not going to be back to whatever perceived normal level you think will be. The Fed and Jerome Powell learned that for committing crimes, even when the evidence is mounting, there will be no consequences so long as you are in the good graces of senators and the administration. So this is just the beginning of a whole new era of criminal behavior at the highest levels of power. The media, you might say or think, will at least shed some light if things get really bad, but let me ask you, why aren't they talking about this issue with Jerome Powell then? Let me break this down to you, because I know a lot of you guys are not big traders and aren't too concerned with how the structure of markets work. The Fed, to put it lightly, is the most powerful and influencing institution in the world, not America, but in the entire world. They can make or break policy which will tilt the way the entire globe decides how to act. They can make an administration look smart and in control, or pave the way to change presidents. They rule the world, and the fact that the media hasn't even really questioned Jerome Powell goes to show who they are in bed with. Either they are delusional, which would be incorrect, or under gag orders by superiors, which I could believe, or the most likely scenario, they are complicit with the systemic corruption of Wall Street and the Fed. Any hope and dream that they are on our side is just as realistic as me thinking Mia Khalifa is waiting for me in bed after making this video. I need all viewers of this channel to wake up and really pay attention to all things that are happening. This is a pivotal moment in history where the changes being made could have exponential disasters for the future of the world. Jerome Powell is not the center figure of evil, but he is the prime example of the vastness of evil's influence at the highest levels of power, and the powerlessness of justice to hold him accountable. Again, I want to thank the Occupy the Fed movement for their amazing publication of all of this. They collected all the data and put it up real nice and easy for readers to comprehend. I will link their website down in a pinned comment below. Stock market was very weak today, with 2 of the major indexes, the Nasdaq and S&P 500 both ending the day losing a couple digits. The Dow Jones ended the day neutral, at the same price it closed last Friday. The stock market is very fragile right now as it is testing the waters and remaining uncertain of how the interest hikes will affect it. Nothing big came out as news from GameStop and AMC, so let's now talk about today. The Fed submitted over $1.679 trillion in reverse repo operations today. Dark pool trades for AMC accounted for 47% of the total volume today, while dark pool trades for GameStop accounted for 44% of the total volume today. AMC had a larger amount of buy orders than its sell orders, with GameStop also having a larger amount of buy orders than sell orders. Now, let's talk about performance. AMC traded bearishly today, losing over 2%. It began trading bullishly during the pre-market, running above the after-hours closing price from Friday and signaling that it wanted to break above 16%. It maintained itself above the VWAP until market opening, when after a quick run to 16, AMC was hit with a short attack that left it falling all the way back down to 14.68. After reaching this low, AMC started gaining a bit of momentum, testing and breaking small resistances and climbing above 15 momentarily. AMC retraced again and closed at 14.91, below the VWAP. As for tomorrow, AMC will experience support at 14.75, 14.25 and 13.60. Resistance will be met at 15.25, 15.85 and 16. AMC got sent down and tested support at 14.75, a strong resistance wall. It appears shorters are trying to get AMC to break below and test 14 later this week. I think tomorrow we will test 14.75 again, so stay realistic about more bearish performance this week. GameStop traded neutral, ending the day at the exact same price it did last Friday. GameStop began trading very bullishly, running from 102 to 105. After this brief run, GME started retracing, falling down and finding support at 99. After reaching this low, GME began moving back up, eventually testing 104.12 but not being able to break above it. GME started dipping and closed at 102.34, slightly above the VWAP. As for tomorrow, GameStop will experience support at 99, 97 and 95. Resistance will be met at 104, 106,108. GameStop held pretty well today, and it is right between that big resistance at 107 and support at 99. I think it more likely for us to test support tomorrow, so get ready to slap that ask. And that is all I have for you guys today. I released a ton of new cool content on my Discord, so come check it out. I promise you a really cool trading community of like-minded traders and investors, all talking about GameStop and AMC and the markets. Come join us once and for all. I will leave a link in a pinned comment below. Thank you all so much for watching my video. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments. Remember to check out this morning's video as well if you missed it, it's very important. If you want to support this channel, I have a Patreon link in the description as well as some one-time donation links for Cash App and PayPal. Thank you again for being a part of this channel. I will continue striving for better content. Enjoy the rest of your day, keep on buying the dip into the moon.